The city of Cambridge held a candlelight vigil to honor all those who were killed and injured in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida. The lawn at City Hall was packed with residents who came out to show their support and hear from city officials.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Brian Corr, and I'm the director of the Cambridge Peace Commission for the city of Cambridge. Louder. Is this louder? Okay. Today, we come together in this place for mutual support and to share our grief. We come together to support those lost and injured, to support all LGBTQ people, to support the Muslim communities, and we come together in peace and for peace. The Orlando shooting early Sunday morning was shocking and traumatic and has affected Cambridge in many different ways. Many of us standing here spent the morning at the Cambridge Pride Brunch, presided over by Mayor Denise Simmons, the first openly lesbian mayor in the United States, at the City Hall, where lesbian and gay couples could first marry legally in this country. Some of us then went to the gun buyback, where the Cambridge Police, Public Health, and other community agencies and volunteers worked to get guns off our streets to make it a safer community. And then we were shocked the next morning when we heard the news from Orlando. So in that shock and in that grief, we come together to support each other. So we ask that you make this a safe space, a respectful space. We must make sure that all people feel safe, whoever they are, whoever they love, however they pray, wherever they live. So please join with us in doing that. In addition, we have members of the Cambridge clergy and trained individuals from Cambridge Health Alliance and the Riverside Trauma Center here. Please raise your hands. If you need support, please seek one of these people out. They will be here throughout the vigil. And with that, I want to turn it over to our Mayor, E. Denise Simmons, who called for this vigil.
First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming out this evening. You could have done something else, but you stood here. You came here so we could stand together in solidarity for our sisters and brothers who are troubled right now. So before I start my remarks, I'm going to ask all the city people to stand behind me with the interfaith community. If you could just stand around on the stairs so everyone can see the support that we have. So my members, my friends of the interfaith community, please come forward. Ever Martin Blythe from the YWCA, please come forward. Reverend Monroe, please come forward. I want you to see the demonstration of people coming together in your city, not only to stand for the people in Orlando, but to stand together, because we are only one incident away from something like that happening here. We must not forget that. You know, Martin Luther King said something very important. He said, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish together as fools. We are tied together in a single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, and whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. For some strange reason, Martin Luther King goes on to say, I can never be what I ought to be. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This is the way God's universe is made, and this is the way it is structured. So I am very proud to stand here with my colleagues, Jan Devereaux, Vice Mayor Mark McGovern, Councilor Craig Kelly, Councilor and former Mayor David Ma, our City Manager Richard Rossi, who you'll hear from, Councilor and former Mayor Ken Reeves, Councilor Carlone, Councilor Chung, Councilor and State Representative Toomey, just to name a few of your elected officials that are here saying we will put our meeting on hold so we can stand and let the people of Orlando know that they do not stand alone. When I heard about the horrific events in Orlando, I have to tell you, I felt sick and angry and then resolved. I felt resolved that no matter how horrific acts like this that we face, no matter how many people use hatred and violence to tear down others, and no matter how many people try to snatch our sense of optimism from us, I will never allow grief and despondency to overtake me. And I will never allow hateful acts of a few blind me to the goodness and the decency of many. There are so many good, kind, caring people in this world. And while the more violent, destructive events are the ones that make the headlines, the images that I choose to remember from this weekend are the fantastically long lines of Floridians waiting to donate their blood. Once again, the very worst in some people tends to bring out the very best in others. The attack that took place in Orlando, just as the attacks that took place in South Carolina, and San Bernardino, in Fort Hood, and in Aurora, and also in Sandy Hook, is an attack on all of us. It is our ability to feel safe and to have the ability to trust others and have our sense of basic decency. But we cannot let the people who commit these acts change who we are or throw a blanket of permanent fear and mistrust over us. Instead, we must draw our strength and our comfort from each other. And we must vow to pull together and find constructive, meaningful ways to stop this needless violence. We know that people are evil in this world. Yes, we do know there are evil people in this world. Some of them may be running for president. And evil people will attempt to do what people have always done. It is up to you, and it's up to us as a society to make it as difficult as possible for them to be successful. Tonight, part of that process is playing out right here on the front steps of Cambridge City Hall. We take this moment to express our solidarity with the people of Orlando and with the LGBT community and with all people all over the country who refuse to tolerate these kinds of acts. And in the words of that Black spiritual, we ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. So I would like to then ask my Vice Mayor, Mark McGovern, if he would say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you. We've also been joined by some school committee members. Kathleen Kelly, Fred Fantini are also here with us. I'm just going to start by offering my sincerest condolences to everyone in Orlando who was affected by this incredibly horrible tragedy. But I wouldn't be being honest with you if I didn't tell you that I'm tired. I'm tired of coming out to these vigils over and over again. I'm tired of people's hatred for others leading to violence. I'm tired of coming here for whether it's a young person in our own community who's taken too early because of gun violence, or whether it's someone in another city around the country or another city around the world. It has to stop. And what I'm also tired of, I'm tired of people in Washington who come out and say how horrible they feel in the wake of one of these events, but then turn around and bow at the altar of the NRA and do nothing to make our streets safer. I'm tired of people in Washington misinterpreting the Second Amendment to somehow somehow perverse it into a call to everyone to bear arms. But we, as the mayor said, and as this sign from this young man says over here, that this tragedy will only bring us closer. What I'm not tired of is the way we come together. And what I'm not tired of is how we continue to advocate and push and fight and force the issue to really move this country in the direction of sincere and honest and helpful gun control laws. And that's what we need to keep doing. And sometimes in Cambridge, our representatives tend to go, be on the, I don't want to say the right side of the issue, because it's really the left side of the issue. But we also have to do our part in advocating outside of here, because there are other parts and other places in this country that don't have the tolerant view that we have here in Cambridge. And so we need to carry that, and we need to do more, and we need to rally, and we need to force this issue in other places. So I thank you all for being here. I hope that the next time we're here, it's for celebration and not to mourn. But as long as these tragedies keep happening, we will keep coming back to push this issue and to support each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I also want to note that we have City Councilor Nadeem Mazen here and former City Councilor Sam Seidel. Next, I'd like to introduce the Reverend Dr. Christian Brocato of St. Peter's Episcopal Church just across the street here in Central Square.
I want to echo the comments about everybody being here and in support and solidarity, not only with our sisters and brothers in Orlando, but people all over the world who are praying for us and praying with us for change in our communities. I was so disturbed yesterday after finally getting home from church around 3:30, glued to the TV set, watching and watching and watching, and I thought, well, what can I do? Well, I came back over, I opened our doors, I put our sign out, I lit some candles, and I prayed. I prayed alone, but I was praying with people all over the nation and all over the world in solidarity with them. And Brian actually called me in the midst of that prayer. And so I'm happy to represent our interfaith community, so much supported by our mayor. It's a wonderful group of people, whether Christian, Muslim, or the synagogues, the Jews, we are all together in this. In fact, I'm planning to propose a resolution to my vestry, which is my governing board at St. Peter's, for tomorrow night's meeting, to say that we will not tolerate the kind of rhetoric that we are hearing over the media and from politicians that go against rhetoric that goes against everything that we stand for, not only as Americans and human beings, but people who value diversity and the strength of diversity. And look at this diversity from our South Asian Center partners and all of you and all of us. We value humanity and human life. We can't let that get away from us, and we must condemn that kind of rhetoric. It is anti-everything that we stand for. Finally, I have to say that there have been many times in the last year when I've wondered even about a Sunday morning of being at the altar with my people and thinking about not having security in the front of the church and wondering what could happen. Just like what happened in Orlando, it could happen anywhere. Brian reminded me that I should say to you that I have never actually said before, but I am a proud member of the LGBTQ community. My marriage license was bought in this building in 2004. I am currently available, by the way, which is very sad but true. But seriously, it is a pleasure and an honor to be part of this community that comes together, as Mark said, to not only to mourn and to grieve, but also to celebrate who we are as Cantabrigians, who we are in the midst of a world that seems to be spiraling into chaos. We cannot let that happen. We must act, we must pray, we must do all that we possibly can to make our country safe again. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. I also want to acknowledge school committee member Emilia Dexter, who has joined us. Next, I want to introduce someone who has played a leadership role in this community for decades, has supported staff, has supported the community, has supported our GLBT commission here in order for it to do all it can do to advocate for and take care of the GLBT community in Cambridge. Our city manager, Richard C. Rossi.
Thank you, everyone, and particularly thank you for coming out this evening. I want to echo the words of the mayor and the vice mayor and the reverend who really spoke to why we're here this evening. I want to say how proud I am of the elected officials and member of the city staff who practice what we're here talking about in terms of being an open and welcoming community to all. So this is not something that the city of Cambridge started in the last few years. This is something that has in fact gone on for many years in Cambridge. We have had some wonderful policies that have really pushed us to be an open, welcoming community to all, no matter what people's beliefs are, no matter how they want to lead their life. And that's really a community that someone like myself is so proud to lead. Whether it be the commissions we've talked about, whether it be human rights, whether it be fair housing, police review, everything we've done, LBGT, everything we've done is to try and give people a voice in this community. And these officials behind me have done that year in and year out, going back many years. So I'd also, as I look across this crowd, so this isn't just a community that has real strong civic leaders. It is a community that's built up of some really amazing citizens and nonprofit organizations. And I'll talk louder than the airplane. I won't let them drown me out. So the organizations in this city that are advocates that push this community to do the right thing that's fair and equitable for all deserve a great amount of credit. And I look across this and I see many faces year to year to year who have done that and who believe that and walk that walk. That's why this is such a different and wonderful community. And I talk and brag about this community everywhere I go. Even if someone is giving me the business about Cambridge, I tell them you should be so lucky to be in a community like Cambridge. Trust me. I will say this. You know, I've lived, and most of us have lived the majority of our lives in what we always feel is a really free and open world. I think we've had to re-examine what that means. And every day when I walk, one thing sort of really bothers me. When I see and you see many of them on this lawn, the group of little kids who are in preschool and they're tied together with the little ropes. They are so innocent and are just so happy to be where they are. And I just fear for the world they're going to grow up to live in. So as many people have said, we need to use the power of voting to make sure that the right people that will guarantee that freedom, that safety, and that cushion that we've all enjoyed for many years, the same kind of life we had in our younger years. So when you read books or see movies about places that are a world of dreams, that's what Cambridge is. We are so lucky to be part of it. I am so proud to lead it. And I will say that maybe I won a coin flip 45 years ago, and I was put into a situation that really has made me a lucky man, and I will never forget that. Thank you all. Let's everyone stick together. And again, thank you to this great staff and list of elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge just a couple of more people. I could go on too long, but I have to acknowledge Mr. Paul Paravano from MIT, who's here. And our Superintendent of Schools, Jeffrey Young. Before we end the speaking part of the program and just continue to gather together, I want to ask for people to think of a couple of things, and then I will ask for a moment of silence. So please remember that with the things that have just happened, we will have a range of reactions: sadness, fear, anger. We may shut down, we may cry, we may not want to eat, we might want to eat nonstop. But the important thing is to take care of ourselves and take care of each other. Remember that idea of putting on your own oxygen mask so that you can take care of others. Take care of yourself in this time. And then take care of your family and friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, and even the stranger that you meet on the street. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. And with that, I would ask for a moment of silence to remember all of those lost, injured, and affected by the tragic events in Orlando. Thank you.
So again, we want to thank each of you for being here. I also want to recognize Reverend Lorraine Thornhill from the Black Pastors Organization and former Bishop Brian Green for being here. They've always stood with us. In closing, as Brian says, to take care of ourselves and each other, I want you to remember these words from Bayard Rustin. And he said, "We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. Our power is in our ability to make things unworkable. So go out and be angelic troublemakers."